plenaries, including Imam Jamil Alameen. But with Black August, we understand that there is that discipline, there is that order, there is that regimen, there is the comrade face to face with himself, with his discipline and understanding what it is that we have to do in these last moments and before our eventual confrontation and conflagration with white supremacy, as the vigilante groups and the propaganda from the president in office stirs the population towards confrontation with its age-old enemy, the African, particularly that advanced one here in the United States, the one that knows your ins and outs, that then the sisters done fed your children, and the brothers inside the prisons feel your direct repression, feel the death and murder of their comrades, as particularly occurring during the time of Black August in representation of George Jackson, who offered that final gave his whole body and everything to this resistance. Whole fiber, blood, being, marrow. That is what we must do, and that is what Black August represents to us. When you talk about freedom fighters, and you talk about resistance, and you talk about August, you can't forget Baba Garvey. And I know that it's kind of strange, even though we know Garvey went to prison, his legacy, more so from the organizational standpoint, leaves more with us to study and to celebrate. And I think that oftentimes that eventual conviction of that great ancestor gets not swept under the rug, but just not focused on a lot. And I remember actually being in the same prison where Baba Garvey was. There, USP Atlanta, right here in Atlanta, and that old castle-looking structure. I mean, going in there and smelling the smells. I mean, just like the initial process of going inside. It really puts one in a condition and a state of mind where, okay, now you know you have to be focused and you have to watch everything around you. But once I got settled in, and I would go to the back of the prison and look at the old part where the train was, where they used to bring in the old prisoners, and I thought about Garvey and my friend Bomani, who often comes on the show of Africa for the Africans, sent me Garvey's letter when I got there. Right, first piece of mail I got from Bomani, like 3 days after I got out of processing and everything, and so I always remembered it, and it really struck me from the standpoint of being one standing in his position, and what I wanted to do was just share that with the family. And although at the same time as Garvey, you could feel the emotions in it, you still see his political focus, and that is the key. Because our great elder Mwalimu Baruti, while I was on my way to prison, Sharice was just it was before she even called it the spirit dance. It was healing the community from within. Baba Walamu came and he spoke, and I had got him for her, and it was like a week before I had to turn myself in, right? So I remember he was like, when you go in there, it's the same thing, Tut. It don't change. It's the work. Now you just doing it somewhere else. You know, if you think about that way, and then he started the newsletter, and he sent it inside to me, and then I started to pass it out to the brothers inside, and now it's become a whole thing all throughout the prison system, state and fed, everywhere. The newsletter for African Center inmates that Mwalimu Baruti started. And so Marcus Garvey, as that political prisoner, also that last speech that he gave at the shores of the port of New Orleans to the community was memorable. But I wanted to share the one that he wrote from prison. I know you gave me the one that the last speech that he gave, the look for me in the whirlwind, and look out for my cubs one before he went to prison. But once he was inside, he penned this one called "The Message from Atlanta Prison." All I I have given to you. I have sacrificed my home and my loving wife for you. I entrust her to your charge to protect and defend her in my absence. She's the bravest little woman I know. She suffered and sacrificed for me, for you. Therefore, please do not desert her at this dismal hour when she stands alone. I have left her penniless and helpless to face the world because I gave you all, but her courage is great, and I know she will hold up for you and me. After my enemies are satisfied in life or death, I shall come back to you to serve, even as I have served before. In life, I shall be the same, and in death, I shall be a terror to the foes of African liberty. If death has power, then count on me in death to be the real Marcus Garvey I would like to be. If I may come in an earthquake or a cyclone or plague or pestilence, or as God will have me, then be assured that I shall never desert you and make your enemies triumph, or make your enemies triumph over you. You will triumph over your enemies. Would I not go to hell 1,000,000 times for you? Would I not, like Macbeth's ghost, walk the earth forever for you? Would I not lose the whole world and eternity for you? Would I not cry forever before the footstools of the Lord, omnipotent for you? Would I not die 1,000,000 deaths for you? Then why be sad? Cheer up and be assured that if it takes 1,000,000 years, the sins of our enemies shall visit the 1,000,000th generation of these that hinder and oppress us. Remember that I have sworn by you and by God to serve to the end of all time. The wreck of matter and the crash of worlds, the enemies think that I am defeated. Did the Germans defeat the French in 1870? Did Napoleon really conquer Europe? If so, then I am defeated. But I tell you, the world shall hear from my principles even 2,000 years hence. I'm willing to wait on time for my satisfaction and the retribution of my enemies. Observe my enemies and their children and posterity, and one day you shall see retribution settling around them. If I die in Atlanta, my work shall then only begin. But I shall live in the physical or spiritual to see the day of Africa's glory. When I am dead, wrap the mantle of red, black, and green around me, for in new life I shall rise with God's grace and blessing to lead the millions up to heights of triumph with the colors that you well know. Look for me in the whirlwind of the storm. Look for me all around you, for with God's grace I shall come and bring with me the millions, countless millions of black slaves who have died in America and the West Indies, and the millions in Africa to aid you in the fight for liberty, freedom, and life. The civilization of today is gone drunk and crazy with its power, and by such it seeks through injustice, fraud, and lies to crush the unfortunate. But if I am apparently crushed by the system of influence and misdirected power, my cause shall rise again to plague the conscience of the corrupt. For this I am satisfied, and for you, I repeat, I am glad to suffer and even die. Again, I say, cheer up, for better days are ahead. I shall write the history that will inspire the millions that are coming and leave the posterity of our enemies to reckon with the hosts for the deeds of their fathers. With God's dearest blessings, I leave you for a while. Marcus Garvey. From Atlanta Federal Prison. Like I said, all the emotion, all of the pain, all of the political focus that he left us. We must live up to that. We must better that. We must carry it out and pass it to our children as he passed it to us. For in the whirlwind, in the storm, or in the juju, is where we find our ancestors. And when we stand on their shoulders and feel that wind at our back, the Africans shall fly. This has been your Political Prisoners Report with your combat reporter, Brother Tutmo Sakar, here on What Good Is a Song, the Friday Night Drum. And remember, as always, African people, stay vigilant.
Yes, look forward to seeing